Before you set your goals for a new year, there's a few things that you need to be thinking about. In this episode, we are going to walk you through a few questions that you must ask yourself before you head into a new year with new goals. And these few questions, these few minutes you spend in reflection are going to make a huge difference on the intentionality and the success that you have in the new year to come. My name is Lindsay Pickowitz.
And I'm Brian Pickowitz. We are the head coaches and co-founders of the Fitness Project, where we focus on building fit and healthy leaders. Now, as we reach the end of any year, we start to anticipate what comes next. And maybe there's some messes to clean up. Maybe there's some things we know we want to focus on as we go into the next year. But the problem is we never really audit what happened. We never reflect. And so at this point of the year, it's a great opportunity to reflect. Because if we can reflect and celebrate, we gain a sense of gratitude. And if we can reflect and learn, see what didn't go the right way, see what patterns showed up that we weren't really pleased about or pleased with, then we can grow. And so instead of just pushing forward, we want to take some space, create an opportunity to reflect, to audit, and see what went well, what did we learn, and then how are we taking this to the year ahead.
And one thing that we're going to give you as a gift inside of this episode is a full PDF of all the questions that we're going to be walking you through. So make sure that you scroll to the show notes or to the description of the video if you're on YouTube. Download the PDF that we gave you for free to make sure that you set yourself up for success going into the new year. That said, as we start off, the first thing that you want to be asking yourself is not, what do I want? Where am I going? How do I get there? It's, what went great this year? What were some great moments, great experiences? And the reason you want to ask this question first is because it's going to totally change your state. It's going to change your mindset. It's going to make you feel excited, grateful, and positive before you go ahead and start setting goals or telling yourself what you didn't do well. So start with what went great.
The second question we want to ask is, what was challenging? So when you reflect on the year that you've just went through, what was challenging? What didn't go the way that you'd hoped? Now, you don't want to beat yourself up here, but you want to bring your attention to the deficit. What did you hope would happen this year that didn't? And as we go through this, you can ask yourself, why didn't it happen? What were some of the things that led to me not being successful? But we want to start to create two categories where we start to see what went really well, right? Kind of put that in its own box and celebrate and really celebrate that with some enthusiasm. Don't discount it. And then say, okay, what was challenging? What didn't go the right way? What did I hope for that didn't come to fruition? So we can start to kind of build some awareness before we go into some of the questions we're going to ask you.
And then once you've kind of started getting in that flow, maybe you're writing some ideas down, next we are going to introduce you to a little process we call taking inventory. If you've never taken inventory on the categories of your life, this will be life-changing. This is something that I discovered in either 18 or 19 in the book Your Best Year Ever by Michael Hyatt. This came highly recommended to me by one of my mentors, and it totally changed the way that I set goals. In the past, I had just thought, man, I'm really frustrated by this area. I need to work on that in the new year. Or, I really want my business to be here, and so I should work on building these products. And it was very haphazard. Once I actually started my goal setting with taking inventory, everything changed. It became much more organized, much more mindful, and much more empowering because I was clear. Clarity is power. If you've ever been in the Tony Robbins world, you know that that is true. So what do we mean by taking inventory? If you had your best year ever, which we can definitely link in the show notes.
We will put this in the actual PDF. You'll be able to do this for yourself.
Yes, you'll see this visual that I'm going to describe, but just as you're either watching or listening, kind of look at what couple of sections stand out to you, and we'll give you some instruction in a moment. But there are several different categories or buckets of life that we all have. Whether or not we are pouring into them is a different question, but there are several different life domains. So think of it this way. There is the financial area of your life, the spiritual area of your life, intellectual, which might be education or how you're challenging your brain. Your emotional area of life, your physical area of life, your marital area of life, or your relationship, if you will, your romantic relationship, the parental area of life if you have children. Some of us don't, so maybe that category doesn't exist just yet.
Or maybe it's family.
Or
Right?
maybe it's family instead of parental. And then social, your social relationships, your social dynamic, your community. Vocational, so your work or your business, which you can see vocational, your work or your business, might actually be different than your intellect if you are maybe going back to school or if there's something else in that intellectual category. And then there's avocational, i.e., the things that you do
Hobbies.
purely for joy, for fun, for challenge, for connection, like things that do not bring you income, that you just do for fun.
And so physical is health, right? Think physical health, well-being, fitness. That's that category. And so what we want to do right now, if you download the PDF, you can do this with us, or you can just start jotting some ideas down yourself, is look at these categories, look at these domains, and then rate your level of happiness on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being low, 10 being high. How happy or fulfilled are you in these different areas? And it's not, hey, everything has to be 10, or I only have 100 points that I have to work with. Grade them based off of your current level of fulfillment, right? What is your happiness scale on these different domains? So you can start to see, again, it's going to kind of actually start making a wheel, right? You'll see the graphic that we put in here. It starts to make a wheel. So you can kind of see what's at the top, what's out of alignment, right? And now the next question, after you've kind of audited your level of happiness and fulfillment, is what areas are the highest? What areas are the highest? And what areas maybe did you focus on the most this year? Right? So you'll tend to see the areas of the highest are probably the ones that you focused on the most.
Probably.
Right? And so just pick the 2 to 3 that you see are the highest. And then we want you to ask yourself, what did you accomplish in those areas that you're really proud of this year? So if you saw that your business, right, your career, your vocation, that was the thing that just crushed it. I was so proud of my business this year. What were the successes? What are 1 or 2 or 3 big successes that you felt like you had in that area? It was in your marriage. What are 1 or 2 things that you're really proud of in that area too? Right? So you don't have to fill up everything, but just look out of the areas that are the highest. What are you really proud of in that category? So you can start to kind of get a picture for, okay, I did really great in my business, and this is the benchmark that we hit that led me to feel that way. Right? So you can start to kind of associate, hey, this went really well. Here are the results. These are the benchmarks. These are the reasons why I'm saying that this was so successful.
This step is very important because a lot of times we go through the course of a year and we discount the things that went really well and where we poured our focus and attention, and we wind up only focusing on the deficits. Mm-hmm. Like maybe you actually built a really beautiful relationship with your spouse or your children, and that required a lot of your energy and attention. I know my best friend has 4 kids and was newly married this year, and she poured so much energy into her children this year and into her relationship. Now she could think, oh, well, I didn't really advance my business, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. But that would be a shame because where she did pour her focus and energy to was actually very fruitful. Very fruitful. Mm-hmm. So you want to actually look at those areas that are the highest ranked and look there first. Then you can ask, what are the lessons that I learned from putting in this work on this area? Mm-hmm. What made it so successful? Because you don't want to bypass a success without asking what was the pattern or the steps that led to my success so that you can repeat it.
Yeah, and you can think of reflecting as an opportunity to gain wisdom. So we usually move from success to success, and we never ask ourselves what led to it, right? Now, reflecting on your successes should really mean, what did you do? What was your pattern of success that allowed this benchmark to be achieved? Did you hire someone? Did you hire a mentor? Did you just start putting time and attention into that area? Were you more present? Were you more thoughtful? Did you read a book? Was there something that led you to being successful in this area? Again, you want to reflect on the area of life that you really felt was impactful or that you grew in. You want to see what the benchmarks were, what are you celebrating, and then ask, how did I produce that? Mm-hmm. Because this is what you want to take with you to the next area, right, that you might be improving on in the next year, or to build off that success.
Yeah.
It's like, I actually need to remember this because, that's a lesson. And a lesson that you gained for yourself is the most valuable one.
Once you have gathered all of that wisdom that you actually attained in the following or past year, then we can look forward at these areas and say which areas maybe were the deficits, or which areas do I really feel the craving to focus on or pour more attention into or get better results from. Now, the key is don't be tricked by thinking that the lowest score means you must work on it next. That's not what that means. You might look at that pie chart or that graphic that we have for you in the PDF of all those different areas and see that maybe avocational is the lowest. If you're a business owner who has a family and you are focusing on your health, for example, you might not really want to go find a bunch new hobbies. It might not be very reasonable or practical or exciting to go add 3 new hobbies to your plate to work on improving the avocational area of your life. Now, I say that because I know that the tendency, if you're a high achiever, is to grab that lowest rung and pull it up to the rest. Don't look at it that way. Really follow your intuition here. Look at those different areas and how you've rated yourself in the financial, the business, the health, all those different areas and say, oh, which one do I really feel is being neglected right now? Like in it's causing a negative impact on my life. If you look at the deficits in a way that's less about the number and more about maybe the impact on your quality of life, well, then that's going to make it really, really obvious which couple areas actually are going to need more of your attention in 2025. So it's not that we need to go in there and set the target right now, but start to build some awareness around maybe those areas that you weren't really thinking about that actually are detracting from your quality of life that maybe you didn't really pay attention to or even realize until right now.
And if you look at the areas of your life from the last year that you're not proud of, that you didn't see progress in, the next question you want to ask yourself is, what led to this not being important? What led to this not being successful? Did I not focus on it? Did I not track and measure? Did I try to do it the same way I've always done it, and therefore I got the same results? Did I not gain any new knowledge in this area? So I was at a deficit for my ability to execute. When we look at areas of our life that aren't improving or that we know we need to improve but we're struggling, we have to then go inward and assess, what do I need to change? Or better yet, what led to this outcome? If we ask what led to it, then it's kind of that shortcut to say, oh, I need to find a way to improve this. I need to fill that gap. But as you look at the areas that, as Lindsay said, are either deficits or you really feel called to improve, ask, okay, what led to it not improving last year? And then what do I need to do? What would be different as I go into this? And you can also think of that as a lesson. What's the lesson for how I need to focus on this area as I go into the new year so that I can bring a sense of wisdom and understanding about how to do things differently? And that's where you'll see improvement.
Now, as we wrap up this little exercise here that we are gifting to you, remember, the most important thing you do first is celebrate what went really well. And I hope that as we prompted, you were seeing memories come back to your mind. You were re-experiencing maybe positive events or days of your life this year that were really meaningful to you. Once you do that and you get yourself in a good resourceful state where you're feeling positive and energized and excited, well, then we can take inventory. We can say, okay, well, what does life look like right now? Before I go try to skip ahead 10 steps and fix everything or improve or skyrocket my growth or whatever, take inventory first. What's my level of fulfillment or happiness in each of these 10 areas of life? And then why are certain areas more successful than others? What are the lessons? What are the patterns of success? From there, as we scoop up that wisdom, then we can really lean into our heart, our intuition, and say which areas really do need some attention, which areas are having maybe a negative impact on my life because I'm neglecting them. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your emotional well-being or your mental state. Maybe it is your finances or some other area of business, but they will jump out at you, especially once you get it down on paper. It will become very obvious. And now that you have all this wisdom, you've reflected, you've really asked yourself some great questions. now you are in an excellent position to be very deliberate about what you want in the next year. And from there, you can go ahead and start setting your goals for 2025 or whichever year you're listening to this.
Now, as we look at the end of the year, we hope that this has been a helpful change for you as you look at maybe the way you typically approach the end of the year. Having a sense of gratitude, having a sense of focus on what's been good is the key to being able to improve those other areas. Remember to be grateful for the good things you have. Savor them, appreciate them, celebrate them, because someday they might not be there. And if you can approach the new year with that grateful heart, that grateful energy, what's great is that the deficits become easier to improve because you're in a state of gratitude. You already realize you have enough and that things will just get better with that focus. So we hope this has been helpful. Make sure you download the PDF. Let us know how this has been helpful for you. Comment your big takeaway in the comment section below. But we hope you've had a wonderful year. We hope you have great gifts to bring into the new year. And more than anything, we hope that you can go out and conquer your day.
Cheers.
Cheers.